With that, let's continue to read in Ezekiel chapter 27, a lament for Tyre. The word of the Lord came to me: Son of man, take up a lament concerning Tyre. Say to Tyre, situated at the gateway to the sea, merchant of peoples on many coasts, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You say, O Tyre, I am perfect in beauty. Your domain was on the high seas. Your builders brought your beauty to perfection. They made all your timbers of pine trees from Sinir. They took a cedar from Lebanon and make a mast for you. Of oaks from Bashan they made your oars, of cypress wood from the coasts of Cyprus. They made your deck inlaid with ivory. Fine embroidered linen from Egypt was your sail, and served as your banner. Your awnings were of blue and purple from the coast of Elisha. Men of Sidon and Arvad were your oarsmen. Your skilled men, O Tyre, were aboard as your seamen. Veteran craftsmen of Gebal were on board as shipwrights to caulk your seams. All the ships of the sea and their sailors came alongside to trade for your wares. Men of Persia, Lydia, and Put served as soldiers in your army. They hung their shields and helmets on your walls, bringing you splendor. Men of Arvad and Helat manned your walls on every side. Men of Gamad were in your towers. They hung their shields around your walls. They brought your beauty to perfection. Tarshish did business with you because of your great wealth of goods. They exchanged silver, iron, tin, and lead for your merchandise. Greece, Tubal, and Meshech traded with you. They exchanged slaves and articles of bronze for your wares. Men of Beth Togarmah exchanged workhorses, war horses, and mules for your merchandise. The men of Rhodes traded with you in many coastlands where your customers. They paid you with ivory tusks and ebony. Aram did business with you because of your many products. They exchanged turquoise, purple fabric, embroidered work, fine linen, coral, and rubies for your merchandise. Judah and Israel traded with you. They exchanged wheat from Minnith and confections, honey, oil, and balm for your wares. Damascus, because of your many products and great wealth of goods, did business with you in wine from Helbon and wool from Zahar. Danites and Greeks from Uzal brought your merchandise. They exchanged wrought iron, cassia, and calamus for your wares. Dedan traded in saddle blankets with you. Arabia and all the princes of Kedar were your customers. They did business with you in lambs, rams, and goats. The merchants of Sheba and Ramah traded with you for your merchandise. They exchanged the finest of all kinds of spices and precious stones and gold. Haran, Kenna, and Eden, and merchants of Sheba, Asher, and Kilnad traded with you. In your marketplace, they traded with you beautiful garments, blue fabric, embroidered work, and multicolored rugs with cords twisted and tightly knotted. The ships of Tarshish serve as carriers for your wares. You are filled with heavy cargo in the heart of the sea. Your oarsmen take you out to the high seas, but the east wind will break you to pieces in the heart of the sea. Your wealth, merchandise, and wares, your mariners, seamen, and shipwrights, your merchants, and all your soldiers, and everyone else on board will sink into the heart of the sea on the day of your shipwreck. The shorelands will quake when your seamen cry out. All who handle the oars will abandon their ships. The mariners and all the seamen will stand on the shore. They will raise their voice and cry bitterly over you. They will sprinkle dust on their heads and roll in ashes. They will shave their heads because of you and will put on sackcloth. They will weep over you with anguish of soil and with bitter mourning as they wail and mourn over you. They will take up a lament concerning you. Who was ever silenced like Tyre, surrounded by the sea? when your merchandise went out on the seas. You satisfied many nations with your great wealth and your wares. You enriched the kings of the earth. Now you are shattered by the sea and the depths of the waters. Your wares and all your company have gone down with you. All who live in the coastlands are appalled at you. Their kings shudder with horror, and their faces are distorted with fear. The merchants among the nations hiss at you. You have come to a horrible end and will be no more. So there is a lot here. So listen to what he's talking about. Listen to what Ezekiel says. Listen to right here. He says, your oarsmen take you out to the high seas, but the east wind will break you to pieces in the heart of the sea. Your wealth, merchandise, and wares, your mariners, seamen, and shipwrights, your merchants, and all your soldiers, and everyone else on board will sink into the heart of the sea on the day of your shipwreck. So what Ezekiel's telling the people is that they are wealthy. Not only are they wealthy, but they have things. They have a lot of things, and they rely on those things, and they like having those things. And so the Lord's telling them that the day will come very soon where everything, it'll be all at once. Everything will be destroyed. Everything, and you won't be able to rescue anything. He's saying that the ship is going to go out to sea and sink complete with everything on it. And that is telling them what's going to happen when the king of Babylon comes, that the king of Babylon is going to come through and destroy completely everything. Why? Because instead of reaching out and knowing that their brothers, their people who are around them, particularly Israel, Judah, are being devastated, instead of having empathy or compassion or in turning to the Lord, they are not. They're too busy into their wares, into their own things, and bringing past to present. Boy, interesting, right? Do we hold treasures on earth, things that we collect or things that we want or need or have to have? Do we hold those so that they have that they are things that we treasure, things that we hold more dear to our heart than having a relationship with the Lord? Think about those things. Our lifestyle, how we have to be perceived, or how we have to live, or how we have to, things that we have to have. Think about those things. Now, remember, the Lord blesses us. The Lord blesses us with things that he believes is correct, is going to be beneficial for us. But then we have our own thoughts and feelings. Have you ever went through a magazine or an article or something and saw something that you had to have, or saw a commercial or something and it just jumped at you and you just had to have it, and you did whatever it took to get it? You took out a loan, or you had the money for it, but it became something that you became obsessed with, something that you had to have immediately. Did you think of the Lord in those circumstances? Did you even have a conversation with the Lord? Think about that. So there's a lot of times in our mind where we think that we don't think about the Lord. We just do. We just act because we see something, we want it. And there are times where, in all times of our life, where we really should, at the same time, when we see something, we want something, we should have a conversation with the Lord to see if it's going to be beneficial, if it's going to be correct, if it's going to be right for us, and have that relationship with the Lord. Because there are a lot of times where we want something and we get right into it, but it's something that we really didn't want in the end. How many people have made mistakes? I'm a fair witness of that, right? Where we've done something. There was a vehicle once. I really wanted it, the style of it. I mean, I was like, this is the vehicle that I want. This is it. And it had just came in. It was a used vehicle, but I didn't care. I didn't care at the time. I was like, you know what? I've worked so hard. I really want this vehicle. This is what I want. And at the time I was like, this is supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. Yes. Did I conference with the Lord? Good question. I may have prayed about, but already had the decision made. So is that conferencing with the Lord? No. Is it telling the Lord what I'm going to do? Yeah. It was, yes, it was a set of wheels for a very short time. Let's just say that it was one of the mistakes that I've made. It cost me, there were so many mechanical issues. It wasn't necessarily a lemon, but over time, over a short amount of time, it became so. So even in our everyday thoughts, even in our everyday actions and things that we turn to that we have options for, definitely take a moment to seek the Lord, because the Lord is there. He is always there. You may not receive an answer right away. So that's when we learn patience and the virtue of patience, and how the good things come in the Lord's timing. Before we go on though, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?